from this moment on, everything should be recorded and streamed to YouTube. So welcome everybody. Really happy to have you here. Let me share my screen with the presentation notes, and I will do present. So yeah, this is our first community governance call of 2022. We are, as always, Thursdays every 2 weeks talking about the community treasury project that will maybe enable the IOTA community to build an own fund, an own ecosystem development fund where the community will be able to support projects and initiatives in the IOTA ecosystem. And we are talking here about how we will make this possible and how we will especially make a first vote and a decision possible if this thing should happen. We have a little agenda as always. We'll start with a little introduction and a recap of where we stand in the moment and what has happened over the last couple of months here. I'm not going too deep into everything. Everything is documented in our GitHub, and there's a lot of documentation and there's a lot of stuff available where you can read up if you haven't followed this process so far. But I'll go through the basic bullet points that are important so that everybody knows what is the plan. Then we can talk a little bit about the voting implementation in Firefly. Things are moving forward. We are actually in the moment refining the user interface and the flow that's going to be displayed to voters in the Firefly wallet. Kind of in the finalizing some small things, and I'm going to show a couple of things and maybe can get some more input from the community on some of the points where we are still thinking about what would be the best solution. Same also our Treasury website, which will be used to present this information about the vote to the broader community that is not following these discussions and these meetings closely. So we're gonna have built a website that's gonna transport all this information out into the open so that everybody that wants to vote has a source of information where all the important parts are available for everybody. Also, I'm going to show the website, the current state of it now, and also would be great to get a little bit feedback again from the community if this is as it's supposed to be. And the last point is, as always, this is an open-end call, and it's an open call for any questions and any topics that you want to bring up around the Treasury and the vote. Just speak up. Also, during I'm speaking, if there's something coming up to you, just interrupt me. This shouldn't go into a too long monologue from my side. So I'm always happy to answer questions in between, but also there will be time in the end where we can all discuss questions together and talk about the next steps in the plan. Okay. As I've heard, and as it's always, we always have some new people in the call that maybe have never heard about what we are doing here. And so I'll give a short recap again about the status of the project and what we are actually doing here. We are preparing the IOTA community for a first vote to decide if a huge amount of IOTA tokens that is left over and has been unclaimed from the beginning of the project in 2015 and 2017, if this pool of tokens should be made available to the whole IOTA community and should be used to fund projects and kickstart ecosystem development and builders in our community and all kind of other projects that people deem need support, and we are preparing the technical side of this. So we created and developed a voting system using IOTA tokens and the Firefly wallet, which will be used to have a first decision if those tokens should be transferred into a community governed treasury fund. Like I said, this will happen in the Firefly wallet, so it's a super secure and convenient environment where this stuff gonna happen. And we have also created this website for information about the vote, and this website will also have a functionality where people can directly start the vote. Voting itself with IOTA tokens is not super complex, but it needs some explanation how it happens. So a vote in this technical solution is always a value transaction with an amount of tokens that you own as a token holder and that you decide to use in the vote. Your token amount is a direct representation of voting power that you own, and the more tokens you own, the more voting power you have in this vote. The transaction is not gonna spending your funds, so you don't have to send your funds somewhere, and especially not out of your control. The whole time of the vote, the whole period of the decision, you will stay in full control of all your tokens, and your tokens will never leave your wallet. The transaction that you are initiating is actually only sending tokens to yourself. And during this transaction that you send to yourself, you are declaring your opinion based on a specified data layout and a specified file that is representing the vote. And this data will be written and attached to your address in the IOTA Tangle. The nodes of the network can track these voting transactions. The nodes that choose to participate in the counting, so they can track every address that has this information about voting attached to the balance. And this is the way then how the votes will be counted by all the nodes that participate in the counting. Voting in IOTA is a time-based thing. Maybe I'm switching a bit. So the voting weight will build up over time. We have a special node in the network. It's called the coordinator, and the coordinator issues a specific milestone transaction every 10 seconds. We use this milestone transaction as, let's say, a marker in the Tangle, which will increase your counted votes every 10 seconds that they are present in your address. And so the community has decided that the voting period for this first vote should be 10 days, which means that only if you hold the tokens that you use to vote on the address for this full 10 days, you will gain the 100% of your possible voting power in this decision. If you choose to remove the tokens earlier or to send them to some other address, you will not be able to reach the 100% of your voting power, but the votes that you have done till this time, they will be counted and they can't be changed afterwards. Yeah. You are not required to use all your tokens. You are free to choose how much of your tokens should be used in the vote. You can also add more tokens during the vote. You can remove tokens during the vote. You can change your opinion. So if you started to vote for option A, but during these 10 days you change your mind and you want to vote for option B, you can change it, but always, like I said, you can't change the past. So if you have already voted 5 days for option A, these votes will stay counted. And we will have several different time frames in this vote. The first thing is like an upcoming time frame. This is a time frame where the vote is already known to the nodes in the network, but actually you can't do anything yet. This will be followed by a so-called commencing period. Commencing period gives you time to cast your vote without the votes being already counted. And the commencing period is 7 days. So once we have a fixed date, we will publish, okay, the vote will start with a commencing period on this specific date. And from this date on, you will have 7 days time to cast your opinion whenever it is convenient for you on a weekend or whenever you have time. So there's no pressure for you to rush directly. And so in the 7 days of time frame, everybody can cast their vote. And then 7 days after the start of the commencing period, the so-called holding period will start. And from this time on, the nodes in the network will start to count your votes and will accumulate weight for them as long as they are represented on the addresses. And this is a maximum time frame of 10 days then. And after this 10 days, the vote is finished, and we will create and publish the results of this. The nice thing is there is no real centralized entity involved in this whole vote, because every node in the network is theoretically able to do his own counting. So if you are a node operator and you want to verify that everything is correct during this vote, you can just activate the specific plugin in your node, and you will be able to produce your own result of the vote, and you will be able to compare it to other node operators and to the official published results, and you will see that there shouldn't be any differences in the counting. Also, node operators will be able to make the ongoing count during the vote publicly available over an API call. And maybe some will do this. Definitely the website that we create will display this. And also your Firefly wallet will have an implementation where you directly see during the holding period how many votes are already casted and how many percentage of votes voted for option A and option B. So this will be always live displayed in your wallet and on the website. But like I said, there will be independent node operators always available, and they will always have the option to verify all of this independently. This is a voting system that we develop here that is, of course, focused on the first vote, but envisioning a positive outcome of this first vote, this voting system will then be available for further votes, because building a community treasury will take quite some time and will take a lot of more decisions than only the first one. There will be a lot of decisions need to be done regarding the design and the structure of a treasury, and Firefly will be available to do all these votes later on. And also the community can use this feature for other kind of voting. Yeah, so everyone that wants to implement token-based voting in IOTA can leverage this functionality of the nodes and the Firefly wallet to create own votes. So that's a nice future-proof solution that surely will be used quite a lot as soon as we come into a phase in the project where we can talk about community governance and the protocol governance and all this stuff. So that's really lovely that we have this opportunity now in our Tangle and in the Firefly wallet. That's actually, do I want to show? Yeah, okay. So this is to make it a little bit more visualizable. This is how counting will happen. Actually, that's not true because 100 IOTAs don't count for 100 votes. I should have to change it. So um, the metric is now that 1000 IOTAs are one vote per milestone. But doesn't matter, every time a new milestone occurs, a new amount of votes that is represented from your token balance will be added to the count. Yeah. And so as long as the milestone pass and you have your votes casted on an address, the plugins in the node will always add a next amount of votes to your already casted ones. And so in the end, we will have an accumulated um, voting results that is created from your token balance. Okay, questions until now. I've been talking already a lot. So is this something that is clear for everyone? We can also again go on later, but if there's some pressing questions, just come forward and speak up.
Okay, you mean 100 IOTA, you mean actual IOTA, not MEOTA? Just want to clarify.
Yes,
100
it is.
per reboot.
The count is 1000 IOTAs represent one vote. And so if you have
Okay, not MEOTA,
yeah,
specifically IOTAs, right?
yeah. So one me would actually then be 100 votes. Actually, 100 no, 100 no, 1000 votes. One
Gotcha.
me will represent 1000 votes every milestone. So every 10 seconds, this 1000 votes. If you have one me, will be added. So next milestone, you have 2000 votes. Next milestone, you have already counted 3000 votes, and so on and so on. And over this 10 days, there are going to be quite a big amount of numbers comes together and votes, but in the end, it's just numbers. It's arbitrary where the metric is coming from.
I'm sorry. Let's say that we have more than one vote on different topics. I can use the same amount to vote on both topics, both proposals.
Yes,
or I have to split the amount of the other.
No, if we would later, I mean, in the first vote will only be one question with two answers. But later on, there is no problem if there are several ongoing votes and the community has several proposals. You can use the same tokens to vote at the same time at different proposals. That's no problem. It's actually if you are staking, it's the technology behind is the same thing than staking. Yeah. So in a moment you can stake for assembly and for shimmer with the same tokens, and the same thing is happening with votes. You can vote with your tokens on multiple proposals at the same time with the same amount of tokens.
Perfect, thanks.
Cool. Yeah. So if you guys like, I would like to go through a little bit the voting flow in Firefly. We have these are yes?
Yeah, I just realized one question that I have actually, a technical question. It's about, you said we can't stake for several coins, obviously, at the same time.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it also be possible to vote for several options at the same time?
Not with the same tokens. So you can,
because I think it's a transaction to your own address, and
yeah,
with the data load gives information about your choice.
yes.
And I don't know how exactly the format of this data load looks like, but I guess it's like,
Yeah, it's a
I
JSON.
participate in.
Yeah, it's a JSON file, Linus, and it is implemented that there is only one. So for every, let's say, every question can have only one answer, like only one option. The nodes only accept a decent and a pure option of. You can have 10 different different options to choose, but the nodes will only accept one. Yeah, and so you can use in one question, you can use the tokens only for one option.
I see that.
Whoever speaking there, you're kind
Linus,
of far away from the mic or something.
Yeah, Linus, you're dropping out
Yeah.
somehow. Maybe post.
The thing, I think it works anyway because you thought about these things. We can go on and on.
Yeah,
Okay,
Linus.
just so you keep fading in and out.
Yeah,
So.
Linus, drop your question in the chat, and we can answer the stuff later on. Also, for all the others, if you have some questions, use the general or use the governance chat and post your questions, and we can go through them later. Okay. Yeah, I wanted to show you a little bit about the flow in Firefly. These are not finalized things. They are actually also not we just been through, before this meeting, we've been through the with the UI and UX and made some adjustments to the stuff, but it's still quite far and quite close to where we are in the moment. But there are some interesting things that we still try to figure out. Stefano, I'm muting you because you are making strange noise with your microphone. So this would be the beginning. So there will be on the sidebar of Firefly. Do you see my mouse? On the sidebar, there will be a new governance tab. If you click on this governance tab, you will land on this page. Actually, in a moment, we are thinking about putting one frame before this, where we have a little bit information page of how voting power is created in your wallet, so that voting power is derived from your token balance and your votes are counted by milestones. We want to put in the information there that voting doesn't cost anything and you are not sending your funds away or somewhere if you vote. And also we will put the information there that voting and staking does not interfere with another. I'm sure this is a question for a lot of people, kind of, okay, what happens if I'm staking already, but I want to vote, or I'm voting and I will want to add something to stake. Those two things have no influence to each other. So if you are already staking with your tokens, you can vote, unvote, change vote, whatever you want, without having to do anything with your stake tokens. Staking is completely separate and independent from voting. And also the other way around, if you have already casted your vote and you want to change anything in your staking, it has no influence on the other thing. So this is stuff that we're going to put maybe in a first frame here to give basic informations. What people will see here, they will see their voting power. And these are votes per milestones. And this is coming from your total profile balance. So these are all votes that you would have available in a vote, coming from the tokens that you own in your profile. We will have a little governance info tab, which will give a short information about how voting works. And we will have always a link down there with Learn About Voting with Firefly. This link will put the people to the Treasury website, where we have extensive FAQs, tutorials, how to voting walkthroughs with screenshots and stuff, so that we have a nice explanation exactly that shows people what they need to do if they get confused. On the right side, you see active or upcoming proposals. In the moment will only be one, but later on this section will be able to display multiple ongoing proposals. And then if you click on cast your vote, actually you will be displayed the proposal details. The texts here are actually coming from the file that is created by the community to be used in a vote. So this is this will be exactly the text that we have decided to use and to display in the vote, and they will be directly pulled from from the node which hosts the files and will be directly displayed in Firefly as is in the file. So you will always have an indicator in which period we are. We are in holding period or in commencing period, or the vote is already finished. You will see your voting power. You will see later on the progress, like how far are we already in the vote, and you will see some start and end date. We already adjusted this stuff, so we will display this a little bit more in detail and just changed a little bit the displaying here to make it more user friendly and a little bit easier to understand for the normal voters. So then if you go to cast your vote, you will have these two options there. You will just click on one of those options, and then you will be able to decide which of your wallets you're going to use. You know, in Firefly, in a profile, you can create several wallets that will have addresses under them. So you can actually, before you start to vote, or if you want to only use a part of your funds for the vote, because maybe next week you want to sell something, you can split them in different wallets, and you can granularly decide which of those wallets you're going to choose for voting. You will even be able to vote with different wallets for different opinions. So maybe you are handling funds for your family and your wife is for option A and you are for option B. So the wife wallet can vote for option A and your wallet can vote for option B, even under the same seed and the same profile. It's only based on the wallets and the addresses that are hosted under this wallet. As soon as you have submitted your votes, you will always need to unlock your vote because it's a transaction. So if you use Ledger, you will have to unlock the vote with the Ledger and have to confirm it there. If you use the Firefly without Ledger, you will have to put in your Stronghold password there and confirm the vote, because it's a actually real transaction happening on the Tangle, and so you will need to sign this transaction. Later on, after the vote, you will come to kind of this screen. This will show you with which of your wallets you have voted and for which opinion you have voted and how many of your votes you have used. On the side also, this will display how many of your total voting power you have used and how far we are. And if you want to change something, you have the Manage Votes functionality that will bring you to a screen like this, where you can decide to change something. You can remove your vote from a wallet. You can vote for another opinion, and you could add tokens and you could remove tokens, and all this stuff gonna be a little bit very similar to everything that we do with staking. Staking is similar. You can merge votes to already existing ones and all this stuff. And this would be if you have, like I said, you have different wallets voting for a different opinion. Yeah, so you would have two wallets voting for build, and you would have one wallet vote for burn. This is all possible. You will have a display of the current results. This will be the total results of all votes already happened in the Tangle. And yeah, so this is a bit the flow. I think that's it. This is a bit the flow that we envision for Firefly. Yes, like I said, we refined it a bit already, but I think that looks already really cool. The Firefly team and the UI UX team has done some really tremendous work in making this a really lovely user interface.
Yeah, it's actually nice. Just a couple of things here and there, indicators, visual indicators to help you understand you know, where you are in the process. But that's really nice.
Any questions or input on this from the community? What do you think?
I'll make a comment. I was in the meeting with Firehawk earlier with the whole team. You will, for those of you that have used this universe, there are more options available, and it's a bit more expansive in the capabilities on the Cineverse as far as choices go. So they won't match right off. No, there's a little bit different behavior. So I think I started hearing people maybe talking about that. So they won't be an exact match. So, but it's probably important to know. So
yeah, but I think we will come later on after the first vote. I think we will align very much with the two systems because they support each other and they will work perfectly together, and that's really lovely what Sooniverse is doing there. And yeah, the Firefly team. Well, we first of all don't want to implement too much fancy stuff because everything takes time, development takes time, and we are already doing this since 8 months now. So we are trying to make a very well working solution with a great user interface that covers all important features for the first vote. And then we will be able to make a second update later on if we think there needs to be stuff implemented or more detailed or added. This would be like a second phase for ongoing votes afterwards. Yep. Cool. What else? The Treasury website. Actually, I wanted to show you guys a little bit how it looks in the moment. Also, like I said, this is still concept. Lovely that we had community developers and community designers to take part in this in the design. So all of what the website is doing is coming from community designers, and they've done really a cool job. So let me actually change the tab and I'll be able to go directly to the website. So the website is live under a preliminary domain. It's not the final domain. And please also don't start sharing stuff like now because it's not yet ready and we don't need to put it out into the broader public. I just wanted to show it here to the group where we are in the moment and what has been done so far. So this, like I said, is going to be a public-facing website to give information to IOTA token holders that are not following the stuff here so closely, like the closer community, because we want to have a big participation in the vote, and we thought it needs a simple approach and a simple explaining website that gives all the information to voters that maybe will see then the blog post and the announcement, and they will ask questions. Okay, what's going on? Voting, never heard of it. What is this? And so we made this little website here. Like I said, community-driven design, which aims to give a basic understanding of the whole treasury situation first. Yeah, so it displays that we have two different options in the first vote, and we have a little history how we actually arrived in this situation, where the tokens coming from the crowd sale in 2015 and from the network upgrade in 2017, where these tokens had to be claimed again by the ones that had not claimed it until then. Then the waiting period, like where the IOTA Foundation took several years' time to give everybody the chance to claim their tokens. Then we had the Chrysalis network upgrade in April 21, which opened up the opportunity to give those tokens to the community in a vote. Yeah, so there have been some blog posts from the IF that explained all this stuff. We started the Treasury initiative in May 2021, my friends. So see, we are really doing this already a very long time, and still we're moving forward. And now we arrived in the first community voting. We will have an explanation of how to vote. People can download Firefly from the official website. we explain stuff in a different page and to display how voting works. So that's going to be a bit of explaining the phases, the preparation, commencing, the holding phase. Really nice animated stuff here. So Jan, the designer, has done really great stuff here for animating this little guys. Then we explain how votes build voting weights over time. Yeah, so 1,000 IOTAs is 1 vote per milestone. We explain the stuff that are important, how voting weight is calculated. Then you have these 2 options, A and B, explaining a little bit the options again, and then you are executing the vote. We explain how counting of vote works in the notes. Yeah, we explain how the plugin works. We explain a bit more in detail how the UTXOs are counted and the stuff. So this is a bit more information, more deeper information for everybody that needs a little bit more. And the time-based gain of voting weights. So this is a little bit nicer graphic that explains how every milestone fresh votes will be added to the counting. And also some examples of different scenarios, what a voter could start if they start later, if they change their opinion during the vote, and all this thing. And then also about the counting and the validation process of the results. How we envision that the node operators have a saying. We explain the rules that the community has set. So what will be a valid vote? Is there a minimum participation? Is there we choose the simple majority of 50%. What we do in case of an error. So all the things that we have been talking over the last couple of months will be displayed in the website here. We will also have a tutorial that's, I think, still using old wireframes, where we have like a really step-by-step explanation for everybody that is also not common user of Firefly. How you're gonna do this? Yeah, go to the governance tab. You're gonna cast your vote. You're gonna decide your option. You see, these are still the old wireframes here. You're gonna choose your wallets. You're gonna confirm your vote. You're gonna put in your stronghold password or your ledger password, and you have a display after this. And then we're also gonna add flow for changing your vote and canceling your vote and all the stuff. It's as soon as we have the final flow, we will add these steps into the website here. And we also have an FAQ section that is also coming from the community. The community has collected some questions and some FAQ stuff that they thought would be important to display. Yeah, so we have an FAQ about the unclaimed tokens. People can read up what exactly, where this tokens coming from and where they are in the moment and stuff. Then possible outcomes of the vote. So actually what will happen after the vote has been decided. We explain the potential outcomes and what the process after this would be. If we have a quorum, then questions around voting weight, how it is calculated, what are the commencing and the holding periods. All this stuff will be available here. Yeah, how the results will be counted, and some general questions about if exchange and all this stuff. So this is in the moment where we stand. This would be like a too long don't read section. Don't know if we're really gonna put it or maybe we're gonna remove it there. Also, what you're gonna have then, as soon as the vote is running, you will have a results section here. So this is not live yet. This is just linking to the wrong page, but this is gonna come from the Sooniverse guys. Like also the website is built and run by Greg and Adam and his team. They built the backend and the technical stuff here, and the results of the ongoing vote with statistics gonna be using a version of Sooniverse, but without Sooniverse branding, like a neutral branding that aligns with the branding of the Treasury website. That's going to be displaying during the vote already the results and the ongoing count of the notes. Okay. So
actually, I think that how voting works, that is it's going to probably get implemented in Firefly a little bit differently, because I think it's going to get merged into the staking section, because you also have
no.
the flow is similar.
No, it will be two different. So staking and governance are completely completely separated tabs. Yeah. So
it's going to be separate. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just wanted to review. Yeah. They wanted to make sure that there wasn't confusion.
Mm-hmm. So it's not.
Okay, because the process behind the scenes is actually pretty much.
Oh yeah, that part of it.
Yeah.
Right,
in the back.
Sure. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but it would really confuse people maybe if you put it together with staking. So staking has its separate tab, and voting has, or governance in total has its own tab. So here in the sidebar actually, so this would be, you would have staking here. Any more questions, comments? Did somebody post anything in the chat? Greg, can we look if there are some questions from the community? No, I don't see something. Yeah, feel free to speak up, to ask questions, to if we should clarify something for you. This is why we are here. I see here one question in DAO Pioneers. Somebody asks, Exobit, can you discuss the fairness criteria of the voting process? That's a really good question, and that's one of the most important questions that we have been talking about the last 8 months already. Fairness in regards to, I interpret this in regards to token holdings. Yeah. The only Sybil protected voting mechanism that is available at this time in IOTA and also in all other blockchain or cryptocurrencies is votes based on token holdings. We don't have any other Sybil protected mechanism available in the moment that would make another way of voting possible. So of course we all aim for a one person, one vote thing. It's technically not possible. You have no way of making it clear and impossible for anybody to create multiple accounts, multiple identities, and to game a vote by creating thousands or hundred thousands of fake identities and fake humans to influence a vote like this. So even if token-based voting is absolutely not perfect, it is the only secure voting mechanism that exists in the moment. Sadly, it is tied to your financial power and to your token holdings. But yeah, it's in this kind the only fair and open and available system that we have. We are working on several, the community also and the Sooniverse people, everybody is working on implementation of digital IDs, of reputation and all those things. and I'm sure IOTA will be one of the first DLTs that will present a useful and proper solution for this, but we are not there yet. Yeah, we are still bound to use what we have to move forward, and then maybe really use the treasury and put also some money into research and development to create more stuff. Oh, I can't hear you. Why? Is anybody speaking besides of me? Werner? Okay. Wait 1 second. Okay. Yeah, strangely, I can't hear anybody. Maybe, no, I can't hear anybody else talking. So, yeah, if you have questions, Greg, can you say something? Because really seems to be I'm the only one. Oh, Greg is talking. Okay, cool. Strange. Greg, you're still talking? Okay. So difficult for me now to. Okay, I just let Greg talking, and if you wanna have me saying something again, just post in the chat. Yes, I will potentially leave. Hello.
But they'll probably come on in stages.
Okay, Greg. Now I hear
then
you.
As far as okay, cool. And then
Yeah.
and as far as the rest of facial recognition and so forth, this is all imperfect. So we really need to think about ways of doing this securely. And right now, token-based voting is the securest form. I'll give you an idea. Facial recognition, or there's technology out there that talks about confirming humanity, right? And usually, what that involves is an element of a video interview. Unfortunately, that is not foolproof. It can be totally fake. And in fact, as far as KYC goes, there are KYC factories. So there's no perfect way of doing this. Token-based voting is the most secure way at the moment when voting on big ticket items, which the build versus burn will be. I'm also a big proponent, and I think a lot of talk has been happening about this in the pioneers, is just the best way to confirm identity is to have multiple forms of identity used for a vote, of a serious vote. So instead of I like the concept of instead of multi-factor authentication, call it multi-factor identification. So you're with us, right?
Yeah.
Philo, you can hear
me now?
Yes. So
I hear.
yeah. So okay.
Yeah,
so that's all. If anybody has any questions, just hit me up, or hit Philo, or hit us in the channel.
We are really all. We hear you, and we are absolutely on the side of getting a proper human vote system running. but we don't see a useful technical solution in the moment out there that will make it possible. KYC is something you can't force people to step out of anonymity. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing. We are a DLT. We are crypto. People have the right to stay 100% anonymous and
Correct.
still have the right to have a saying in a project. You can't take this away from somebody by making them show you a passport. And I can tell you, it's very, very easy to get a lot of different passports with your picture on it. So even this KIC is not something that is fault proof. Yeah, maybe in Western Hemisphere, but we are a worldwide operated system. We have people in all over the world, and all of them should be able
and also
to participate.
From the facial recognition or aspect, which I see posted here. When people bought their tokens, especially the earlier on, right? This was all done on the basis of anonymity, right? The whole concept of bankless, being able to buy and send transactions and so forth, and value without you having to declare who you are, right? So it kind of flies in the face of that if all of a sudden we insist on that. Now, going forward, let's say, for example, a DAO decided to say, hey, we're going to have facial recognition as part of our voting system. And you acknowledge that when you enter the DAO as an agreement as part of the participation to be to be in the DAO, that's legit. But you're not, because you're saying, hey, this is how we operate when you enter into it. But imposing this after the fact, after everybody has their tokens, and saying, hey, look, the only way you're going to vote is to lose your anonymity, it doesn't sit well with a large part of the community.
Yeah, and it's not fair. And also, I know it's always the thing, this favors the rich and this favors the whales, but I think game theory shows very well that we should not be afraid of people that hold huge amount of tokens, especially if those people bought these tokens long time ago. This means they are long-term supporters of the project. These are not pump and dump whales or something. If somebody is here now and holds, I don't know, 500G or 1 TI or something from the early days, this means this is somebody that has believed in the project since the beginning and has stayed with the project, has not sold, and mostly will do everything for the project to become successful. Yeah, and so it's always this thinking that whales will do something bad, and I don't believe this. I think whales are normally pretty clever, and they protect their investment, and they want a project to succeed, because actually this is going for them to make much more favor than influencing a vote into a specific direction. Especially this first vote. Yeah, there's nothing to gain.
Yeah, the first vote.
Yeah, there's nothing to gain for a whale in influencing the vote in a certain direction. Yeah, I mean, if a whale would want to influence it into the burn direction, it wouldn't make much sense from an economic standpoint of your investment to move this in a certain direction. But like Greg said, later on for different votes, and as soon also as smart contracts are available, because in the moment we can't enforce super complex voting logic, because we don't have the technology ready yet. We're not there yet that we can really have fancy DID smart contract based and stuff. It's not yet available on IOTA. The only thing that we have in the moment is the IOTA token. And if you look around, this is by far the most used voting. 95% of all governance decisions in crypto and DLT, even more, maybe 98% of projects use complete token-based voting, because they all stand in front of the same problem. You can't verify a human. You can't verify an identity with the same security as you can verify token ownership. Yeah. So
I think it's important for those that are new participating that we've been working on this as a community since April of May, almost a year now. Right, we're a quarter away from a year on working through all these issues, and we have tried to find a way to get to one person, one vote, and leave the token thing, but there is no way forward really to do that. We would have to wait several years, probably into the future, for that to be universal. So it's totally important to everybody, but that just needs to be stated. The other aspect I would say is when we assuming that the vote is yes for building a treasury, it is at that point where I think that the dollars get smaller, and the community can probably start deciding on whether or not they want to try to take on voting on initiatives that perhaps isn't token based. But at that point, that's in the hands of a community DAO, where the decisions are made by the community. Right now, that decision and the terms of agreement in order for these tokens to be turned over to a treasury are fairly specific and require token-based voting really to get us to a DAO run smart contract, a multi-sig wallet system.
Yep.
And until that's all in place, the funds can't be transferred.
Yep. And like I said, this is also, like Greg already said, this is such an important and all affecting decision for everyone. And we've been talking and thinking a long time how you are defining the IOTA community. How do you define who is part of the community? And the only feasible thing that is connecting us all is the IOTA token, is the Tangle. Yeah. So voting with tokens on the Tangle is for this one important decision, which will also affect every token holder, everyone that made an investment in IOTA long time ago or short time ago will be affected by this one decision. And so we think that's the only fair thing available for now to make this vote, because that's the thing that connects each other. It's the only thing that is kind of permissionless, available for everybody that has the chance to buy token. Even I know exchanges are a mess and stuff, like don't go into this direction, but it's still possible theoretically, or was possible over the last couple of years, for anyone to buy some IOTA tokens, and those will give them the chance to participate in this decision. Amazing. Do we have some more?
There's interesting questions like, can there be a cap on voting token to each individual?
We've been talking about this also in kind of every vote, and no, we can't cap it. We can't cap it. If somebody has 100G and we say we make a cap in 50G, what is he doing? He's splitting his 100G in two different profiles.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So the technical feasibility about that isn't there. Just to restate what Philo said is,
you can't.
I can fire up multiple wallets with different amounts and show up with different ways, right? So there's no way systematically with the anonymity to prevent that from happening. So that's why we've thought long and hard about that. We've analyzed voting in of this type in all forms of DAOs, and we're talking,
months,
like months and
hundreds of projects,
right? And at the end of the day, when you start voting on the state of the state right now with voting, when you start voting on high ticket items with this much money at hand, this is the only secure way of doing it, even though we all agree we're making the best choices we know aren't as optimal as we want, but it's the only way it can be done. So
Yep.
Also, will there be a notification on Firefly Mobile for future voting events? I think that's feasible.
Yep.
I don't know that we actually talked about that though.
Let me think about we don't know if we're gonna support voting directly from Firefly Mobile, but a notification will actually, it's technically easy to do. So I think that's
it's easy to do. I just don't know that we actually talked about it.
Yeah, that's a good point. We will put it in our notes to have this, because it but absolutely will make sense that you get a notification in the Firefly Mobile. It's actually a great idea. Yeah.
That's actually something that's going to be coming with the Sooniverse. So maybe since we're going to be tied to that, actually, I'll talk with you about that. Maybe we can actually.
Yes, I see what you mean. This actually absolutely true. Can also come from this side. Yeah.
Yeah, because the engine's driving. Yeah. So that probably.
Okay. What else? Do we have some? Okay, he's done questioning. Thank you. Yeah, this is the great thing. This is why we do these calls, because we can write blog posts, we can create websites and stuff like this. But it's always best to really come here and just ask your questions, and we can try to summarize what we have found out in the last couple of months. Like really, this has been such an intense process. There have been so many people in the community involved in this, that I'm really sure we arrived on a state of the project where we've covered really everything twice or third, and we still haven't found better solutions that the one we are doing in the moment. So pretty cool. And yes, we can see the analytic live. Yeah. So as soon as the vote is started, the website, and not only the website, every node operator can make the current analytic results available for everyone. So you will directly see how many addresses or tokens have voted for which option. You can also use the Explorer. Actually, you can check every address that is out there. Same like you do it with the staking. Yeah, the same thing applies for voting. Addresses will have this voting metadata in the address space, so you actually are able to check every address in the Tangle if they are voting and which option they have been chosen to vote. Yeah, so that's all public available. Locking the tokens for a longer period of time, even after the vote ends, to incentivize people making good choices. Yes.
I don't know if doing it after the vote has ended, that's a penalty.
Yeah,
right?
That's I know some projects do this, like Polkadot is doing this stuff. But we kind of decided, we came to the conclusion that this, like Greg said, it would be a penalty. The cool thing for us is that we have the flexibility of, you can always change. Yeah, so we are actually happy that we don't lock tokens for a long time frame, because this is stuff that absolutely drives down participation. Because locking your tokens, normally this is done with a smart contract, where you will really send the tokens away into a smart contract and you have no chance to get them back. It's really kind of a strange thing to just do a vote. It's difficult. If you send them away and then they are staking and earning rewards, this might be interesting, but in the moment, nah, we thought that's not something that we want to implement because we want.
I think Philo, I think I'll just add to that. First, I just want to reiterate to everybody: when you vote, just like staking, your tokens never leave your wallet. Okay, so let's make sure that that's clear. Second, we have been thinking about this for a long time and having these meetings right for months on end. And what always ends up happening is people that start conflating the first vote, which is, hey, number one, hey, should we even have a treasury or not, right? That's initially what this vote is about. Should we establish a community treasury? That's a different, and so the capabilities and the way you want to vote about it, and holding periods and all that, like what Roman has mentioned here. I think you need to think about it as does that long period of holding that he's proposing or talking about, does that make sense for the genesis vote of the Treasury? I would say probably not for this one. However, assuming that the vote is yes, let's form a Treasury and form a DAO after that, right? And then have the community participate on that. Then I think that option could be discussed by the community, and it could be implemented, right? I think that's probably so. I just like to point that out. We have kind of like two different things. We talk about the wallet as it's designed, and the voting system is as it's designed is number one, to get the first vote out the door about whether or not we have a community treasury. But aside from that, is whether or not that the vote is yes or no, the wallet and the system will still be in place to run other types of votes, right, and proposals. Whether or not that it even comes into existence, this system will still be there for other DAOs to use or community members to use, leverage, and vote and submit proposals for whatever it may be.
Yep.
So,
and like you said, because it's a nice way, like you said, to reward long-term contributors. So if you think a bit in the future, once we have assembly and stuff like this, and you are actually going to be able to stake your tokens with a validator, which will make you normally stake them over a longer period of time, because then you are also an active participant in the network, you are securing the network. Then, of course, you can also say that only people get more voting rights if they contribute to the security of the network by staking their tokens, by validating a chain and all this stuff. There's a lot of interesting options that can brought on the table once we have smart contracts, which will make all these things easier to be implemented. Like Greg said, for this first vote, this was a bit out of scope and also technically just not solvable in the moment. So we didn't touch on that, but definitely these are all very valid ideas that should be explored in the future for IOTA governance, because there's a lot of things make sense, but we didn't want to overstress it in the first vote. We want to have a first clear and simple decision, locking over a long time period now without a reward. I mean, when we started this, we didn't know that there is staking coming and stuff like this. Will normally drive down the participation a lot, but also we needed some holding period to have some security against flash loans and vote buying and things like this. So I think this 10-day period, which was a community decision. Yeah, we had long discussions, and we also discussed longer periods of 3 or 4 weeks, but in the end the community decided to use 10 days as the holding period, and that's it. Yeah, community decision should always be respected in this case. Actually, great. So we have some other questions. Let me check if there's something in the channel.
So there's the question about can I nominate proposals for voting? Assuming, so the answer is once the assuming the build versus burn vote goes to, and I always have to state this, right? Mm-hmm. Assuming that the Treasury is voted, is a yes vote, and a DAO is formed, then yeah, that's all about proposals will be, people will be able to nominate and put up proposals that can be voted on by the community. That's actually the whole purpose of this whole thing. And if you want to see a sample of that and how that can work, a good example of this is at the Sooniverse, because that's actually what happens right now. But that's actually kind of how DAOs work, right? You have to have a system of voting. I mean, at the heart of a DAO, there's like 3 or 4 components. One is first and foremost a way to make decisions, and to, right, and that means voting. So proposal management, submitting proposals, voting on them, be able to get consensus by the community, and then having to have a multi-sig wallet and the smart contracts in place to manage that. There's a couple other aspects, but those are kind of the key components.
Yep. And after this, like we said, after this first vote, if the vote goes to the direction of build something, then the really interesting time starts, because then we really need to sit together and think about the system that should be built. And then there will be multiple decisions needed to come to the system that the community wants. So this will be just the first vote in a long, maybe potentially long row of decisions to arrive at the final Treasury fund governance DAO. And so then the community is always asked to really come together in these meetings or in the channels or wherever they want, discuss possible solutions of how this Treasury fund can be managed. There's a lot of things to think about, legal, all kind of voting systems, all kind of what's going to be funded and all the things. But first of all, the smart contracts need to be designed that should act as the community decides, and that should represent the system the community wants. And this only can be done by further ongoing votes, and there will be a lot of proposals and a lot of decisions for the community to take after vote number 1. Yeah, and so this is why the system is there now, that makes it possible, and the system can also be updated and upgraded and changed later on, the further our technology develops. Yeah.
And there's just a lot of experience and lessons learned that the community will have for sure, right?
Yeah.
I think it's important for people to realize and to set expectations, since Philo and I have been working this, and many of you have been here with us to try to get to this point, right? The saying is, you're watching the sausage being made is entirely true when you try to get a community of our size to try to come to an agreement on things that are this pivotal, right? So once the vote happens, just and assuming the vote is for build, for those that are expecting things and money to be starting to be able to be voted on and dished out quickly, I think you need to think about this in terms of how long do you think it will take personally for our group to come to terms on, okay, what will be the ethos, the manifesto of the community? What will be, you need to think about how the future votes, what type of voting systems and what we want to have in place. What are the percentage of votes, right? Did you want to use quadratic voting, quorum-based voting, token-based voting, or did you want to make that proposal by proposal? And then did you want to, you also have to determine who gets involved in, governance, and you need to decide on all those governance levels. And there's so many choices that need to be made, and they're all doable, but with a group our size, right? We have over 50,000 people on our Discord. So imagine trying to get consensus on all of these and having that happen in a fast time, right? Doesn't really seem like that's going to happen. So just want to set expectations for folks.
Yeah. We had another question from Emu in the chat who was asking, oh, I just forgot it already. Emu was asking if how it is, if it would be possible to keep the results secure until the voting is finished. And that's not possible because we are a public ledger. So even if we wouldn't publish them on the website or wouldn't publish the results during the ongoing counting in Firefly, every node operator could do it. Everybody could just use the Explorer and write a little script and search all the addresses for votes. So sadly, I mean, it's strange because we know it from our normal democratic votes that you go to the ballot, you cast your vote, and then you wait until the television tells you who's going to be the next president. Yeah, but in DLT it works different. Every vote is written in a public ledger. Every vote we are public DLTs. Everything that happens on chain or on the Tangle is directly publicly visible for everybody. So you can't hide results. And so and then it's kind of better to display everything in the public directly in the open. So kind of everybody knows what's going on. Nothing is hidden. Nothing is happening secretly. And so, yeah, that's the only way for us to go forward. And that's the normal thing. All DLTs, all blockchains, all DAOs vote happen like this. You can't make it secret. And so you will put it directly in the open for everybody to verify and everybody to see what's going on directly. Yeah. And other questions, maybe, was there something? How do we get some of the funds into action as soon as possible? There's a danger in the delay. Getting the post-vote system right in such a good projects die.
Yeah, this is something you and I have had to talk about for a long time, right? And I agree with Dave
Yes.
on this. I think there's possible ways, but
yeah,
the interesting thing is once the Treasury vote is there, it might be possible. The hard part, right, is that the requirement is to have a system with smart contracts in place and multi-sig in place. That seems to be the written requirement.
Mm-hmm. It depends. It depends on what the community is happy to accept. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's great.
Of course, there would be, let's say, if the community would agree to put a part of the funds into a custody wallet. Let's say it like this.
Yes.
Under the control of trusted community members or IOTA Foundation members or a mix of both, whatever.
Yeah, in this case, though, I think it wouldn't.
Yeah.
So to go down the path that you're talking about, though, right? That now this is IOTA community, right?
Mm-hmm.
So having IF having their
no, we don't
involved with.
That's the thing. We don't want. We don't want the question would also be.
No, I know. But like, what would assuming the one possible way would be able to basically do what you said, get a custodian to manage the multi-sig. The community could vote on determine who they want to be the guardians, or I'll just use the term guardians, or whoever the people that from the community, they can actually release funds by all signing the multi-sig once the community decides on that. So it could be possible. I mean, this is where I was going for a long time, and I think this might be possible, is to set up that arrangement, have the community vote on people who can release, and then have proposals that vote on, they can be voted on. Maybe set up a set amount that can be put into this arrangement, something like that.
Yeah.
So,
but it's always there's always quite a lot of risk involved in this thing. So this, of course, we need to talk about. But also, I'm not sure if there would be really a majority agreeing on something, because yeah, it's like there's always the two sides. Whoever's gonna be putting in control of something like this, and a system that is not secured by smart contracts and kind of relies very, 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 very much on a couple of humans to do the right thing, it's always difficult to come to things. Also, the other thing is because the funds need to be released by the node operators, and every fund release is a hard fork. Yeah, so that's something. If then maybe once there could be maybe released a small amount in the beginning when the rest of the network is also, I don't know, maybe tokenization upgrade of mainnet or something like this, which will anyway require a hard fork and the node operators to take some action. This would be a potential point where it could happen, but this is a lot of if and maybe and things involved. So a long time to go this way and to think about what would be possible, because you can't do this kind of stuff every month, forking the Tangle, upgrading all the nodes to a new version and all this stuff. It is a complex technical stuff involved there. So there are many different options and different moving parts involved in such a thing, and it always involves also risk, and the community will really need to think about all those things. Yeah, instead of, there are other funding options available. Yeah, I mean, assembly and all the stuff. So it's not that we are sitting now on the empty bucket and there's nothing there for the community. So it got better already over the last couple of months, and project funding is picking up, and so it's not such a ultra pressing thing anymore to get those funds released as quick as possible. Better do as secure as possible. Let's say it like this. Okay.
But it's worth. I mean, I
Yeah.
think it's a worthy discussion.
Yeah, it's
for sure.
definitely we will talk about this. We'll discuss this if we get the first vote on the table, and then after this, because all of us, we all actually, I think we're all on the same side. All of us want to start funding projects as quick as possible, because this will kickstart our ecosystem. Yeah, this will make so much things possible that haven't been before. But it needs to be done in a proper way that is secure, and that can't be gamed, and that can't be, because the worst thing would be that there's some mess happening and a couple of millions just disappear into, I don't know, somewhere. We don't want to go this road also, yeah.
Yep, totally.
Okay, my friends.
Cool.
Where are we? Are there more pressing questions, or should we slowly roll it up?
I think that we've. I think that most of it have been answered.
I don't see anything in the chat anymore.
But you know, the answers, keep posting the questions, right, in there, because that's why this channel's here. Like,
yes,
we can just crowdsource the answers.
Yeah,
right?
we just continue. If there's pressing questions, just continue posting them in the chat. We will be happy to answer everything in the chat. Then it's also visible for everybody that comes later and things. So no worries. There's a lot of spaces available to discuss all the things. Yeah, we have the dedicated governance channels here. So if there is something coming up, or also if you watch this in the next couple of hours or tomorrow or whenever, just drop into our Discord, drop into the governance discussion channel, and start a discussion with the community. Ask your questions. We will be happy to answer them all. And so with this, I would say we close it here for today. I'm super happy that a huge amount of people again showed up after the holidays now. And yeah, we are moving forward, and we're gonna make this baby happen as soon as possible. Let's say it like this. And thanks everyone for your participating and for your interest. The video link is posted in the channel already. I'm gonna make meeting notes of this and gonna post them here also tomorrow or the day after. They will also be posted in the GitHub and into Reddit and everywhere. So if you want to read up again, feel free. We have a very, very good documented project here. Thanks everyone for joining, and have a nice evening or morning or wherever you are. Bye.
Thanks, fellow. We'll talk to you guys later.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.